You know, it's a landmark shift, no doubt. But to hear Republicans tell it, Democrats blew up the Senate this week by deploying this nuclear option.
Yeah, hyperbole, a dramatic way maybe to slam Democrats for changing the rules on filibusters. But before, remember, it took 60 votes to move a presidential nominee forward. Now, a simple majority of 51 will do, except for Supreme Court nominees. But with Democrats in control, Republicans can no longer block most presidential choices.
Today's pattern of obstruction, it just isn't normal. It's not what our founders envisioned.
They will pay a very, very heavy price for it. It will change the way that this institution functions.
All right, let's bring in a pair of CNN political commentators. We've got Maria Cardona, Democratic strategist in Washington, and in New York this morning, Will Cain, a columnist for The Blaze. Good to have both of you.
Good morning.
Victor, Christy, good morning.
So let's start here, because what's most interesting to me about this conversation is just a few years ago, in 2005, both sides here were on the opposite sides that they're arguing now. Mitch McConnell, Harry Reid, President Obama, when he was then Senator Obama. I'm going to start with you, Maria, about the, some would call it hypocrisy of what happened this week.
So I think the issue here, Victor, is that when President Obama was Senator Obama, the partisanship was not at the level that it was today, that it is today. And in fact, Senator Reid said this. No side has completely clean hands on this. Both sides have used the filibuster as a tool. But this is, I think, the feature that got me in the history of the United States. 168 times the filibuster has been used. Half of those times, Victor, it has been used during President Obama's tenure. And so I think that the partisanship and the gridlock has gotten to a point where it was historic. Absolutely nothing was getting done. And the reasons why the Republicans were blocking the nominees were not substantive at all. It had nothing to do with qualifications. It was pure partisan politics. And that's what Senator Harry Reid wanted to get rid of, to be able to get done what the Senate needs to get done.
Let's get Will in here on this. Senator McConnell in 2005 was in favor of this nuclear option.
Right. You know, Victor, you said earlier, you said Republicans are saying the Democrats are blowing up the Senate. Let's not take Republicans' word for it, okay? Let's just use Democrats' words from 6 years ago, 5 years ago, where President Obama, for one, said that this would increase gridlock in the Senate. But Joe Biden's the interesting clip. When he was in the Senate, he said, "I pray God that we do not make such a naked power grab once we're in power." You see, what's flipped, and Maria has her stats right, by the way, Republicans have used the filibuster extensively. But what's flipped is the Democrats are now in the majority. And that's the hubris of the entire deal. When I'm in the majority, I don't want anyone to stand in my way. And as you said, Mitch McConnell wasn't so opposed when he was in the majority. The entire system of American government was set up to protect minority viewpoints. This is a big deal, guys. This is a dramatic shift in the way we govern.
Okay, but think about this. If this is how it's going to be now, what happens when there's a shift in power again? And now it would be on the Republicans, right, Maria? I mean, are they thinking this through? What are the risks?
Well, sure. There's no question that we could come one day to regret this. I guarantee you that this will focus Democrats a lot more on making sure that we keep the Senate in the coming years. But, you know, to Will's point, yes, several years ago, both sides were on the opposite side. But again, the stats were not to the extent that we see them today when Democrats were in power, or I'm sorry, when Republicans were in power and Democrats were the minority. Democrats did not use the filibuster to this end. And when Democrats filibustered Republican nominees, it was on substance. It was on qualifications. It wasn't just because they didn't want to see the courts tilted more Republican or more Democrat. That is a ridiculous political argument that should not get in the way of doing the nation's business and not filling the courts.
Will, go ahead.
I just want to say, look, our principles can't be so convenient that when we're in, the rules only matter, the rules only apply when we're in charge. We get to change them. The only thing that matters is whoever's in charge. That means you have no principles. And just to add to the statistics, I gave you earlier, Maria, that the 168 filibusters are largely on and have happened during President Obama's tenure. But to add accurate facts to that, Republicans have approved 74% of President Obama's judicial nominations, as compared to Democrats approving 67% of Bush's. While it's been used more, judicial nominations have been passed through.
Well, let me come to you, Will, about something CNN obtained, this playbook of the Republicans on Obamacare, strategy memo filled with some talking points, social media, video, digital flyers. Listen, this fight over Obamacare has, of course, intensified because of the problems of healthcare.gov, but this has been discussed and legislated and upheld by the Supreme Court. Is this going to be the focus going into 2014 for the GOP, Will?
Oh, it better, Victor, better. I mean, the program is falling apart. Forget whether or not you like the law or it's the law of the land. The question now is if the law of the land is any good. If the Republicans, look, this is going to play out perfectly for them in 2014, not just because they're going to hold the trumpet to highlight how bad it is. The problems for Obamacare are not over. They will continue into 2014. Guys, things like this, I promise you, you'll hear about bailouts of the insurance industry in 2014. You're going to hear about people losing their health insurance because of the employer mandate. Somebody needs to make the American public aware. I just say this one extra thing. Republicans, I believe, should be ready to provide a solution, an alternative, but that does not mean ignoring the faults of Obamacare. Trumpet those to the mountaintops.
All right, Will Kane, Maria Cardona, you know, these are always too short because we could do much more on this. I thank you, though, both of you. Thank you, guys.
both. Thanks, Chrissy.
Alrighty, sufferers say migraines can be unbearably painful. Well, there's a new treatment that could offer relief, but it's also sparking some controversy. It's coming up next. Stay close. Also, Christine Romans has a preview of Your Money coming up in an hour from now. Good morning, Christine.
Hi, Christy and Victor. 5 years after the financial crisis, you still feel like the banks got away scot-free, but the man who just negotiated a $13 billion penalty from J.P. Morgan says not so fast.
Able to put together something that's extraordinary that I think can be a template as we go forward. We look at other financial institutions.
That's coming up at 9:30 a.m. on a brand new Your Money.
Be one with it, and it will be one with you. Be one with your tires, and the road will be one with you. Angle Tires.
So this board gives me rates for Progressive Direct and other car insurance companies?
Yes.
But you're Progressive and they're them?
Yes.
But they're here?
Yes.
Are you
there?
Yes.
No.
Are you them?
I'm me.
But those rates are for
Them.
So them are here.
Yes. You want to run through it again?
No, I'm good.
You got it.
Yes.